Okay, where's my glasses? I'm grabbing my glasses. Okay, let's get Sherry on here. Okay, did we go live? Are we live? Yeah, it says we're live. Hi, you guys. Give me a moment. I'm waiting for. I just sent an invite out to Sherry, and yeah, we got about what 3 more minutes or so. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you being here. I'm excited. This is such a um, a really good opportunity for sharing a resource, and I'm all about resources. So, getting my glasses ready here so I can see. I'll be saying this throughout the live. I've turned off the comments. I actually prior to this live, I asked for any questions people may have had surrounding their curiosity surrounding what is trauma, right? And so that was for Thursday. So I did that for Thursday. So I wanted to have the comments turned off for today because we have an open platform and I don't want to have to try and manage trolls and have so much stuff going on that we don't have an opportunity to really enjoy and get the information that's being shared here. So the comments are off so that it's not a distraction. So we will have other lives where I'm going to ask in advance for you guys to submit your questions that you have. And I use email to do that. And so that's how we'll be going forward. So I'm just waiting here for, let me grab my tablet. Let me see. Honey, yes. Can you come and grab my tablet for me, please? My tablet. Thank you. I was going to use some music here, but I want to be able to post this later so people can refer back to it as a resource. And so I can't play music in the background because the sound to get muted. So that's that. Um, okay, there we are. Okay, let me send Oh, we have a couple of minutes more. Okay, so if this is your first time here and you're curious about what this community is about, you can stop by the page. There's three pin posts at the top of the page, and it pretty much gives you an understanding of what this community is about. And so it gives you the community guidelines, and it gives you what the purpose of this community is, and feel free to walk around in the page. So today we're discussing trauma coaching. It's going to be with Sheri-Ann Best, who is a psychotherapist. And so let me see if I have, let me go ahead and, there she is, invite. There you are. Okay. And so it'll be so that you can get a resource to on your journey in healing from trauma, whatever form that shows up for you. Here she is. Hi, Sherry.
Hey, I'm just trying to, I guess, okay, connect with video.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you talking. Cancel, Siri.
Let me just make sure all my stuff is off and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I've turned everything off so I don't get disturbed.
It's so weird. I can't see with my glasses. I can't see in
Look,
mine.
here's my eyeballs
It's
here.
it's that time.
It
It's
is,
I
it's
can't
that
believe
time.
it. I was
Hmm.
once a young girl. Now I can't see.
And look, not only do I have to have the regular glasses, I have to have my sunglasses are prescription too, right? Because we
Yeah,
can't
I
be
would do that
blind and
too.
cute. You can't be cute and blind.
Right.
Yeah. So I was just in the process of explaining to everyone why we're here today and how this information can serve them. So, thank you everyone for coming in today and joining us for this discussion. I really believe this is a great resource and an opportunity for you to explore other tools in your toolkit as you are on your journey to healing and in all of the self work and the investment within yourself. And so I had the pleasure last year of taking the trauma coaching program, the beta, with Sheri-Ann. And it was one of the most transformative experiences in my journey. Okay. And so I asked her if she wouldn't mind coming on and sharing this great resource with the community and for you guys to have some information on exactly what trauma coaching is about. So, with no further discussion from me, I'm going to
Ah!
bring in Sherry.
So, LaShawn, I'm gonna need you. So there
I'm
will be
here.
further discussion.
I'm
Yes.
here. I'm here.
So, so LaShawn, first I just have to say thank you so much for having me here. And you just like you're always so kind in the things that you say to me and about me. But I cannot express to you more the gratitude that I have for you to even be a part of my group. It was first, this was about me taking the things that I know just as a trauma survivor myself, but
Yes.
also as a trauma therapist. And I was trying to figure out a way to take what I do in this room here and figure out how to put that out to the masses. And I asked a group of people to just please help me to do that. And you were one of the people that did that. Probably one of the first people to join and complete the assignments.
When
I
I
will
saw
say
that
that.
video, I was like, ooh, 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 pick me,
Yeah.
please.
But what that did was you allowed me to take, like I said, what I was doing and be able to use it throughout the entire country and maybe even beyond that. So to just sit with me and I'm literally telling you guys, I don't have anything. Like I don't have anything other than the knowledge and the experience, right? But
Yes.
I took your stories and I said, okay, based on when I sat and I met with you all one by one, and I'm listening to the stories, just a small piece, right? And
Yes.
I'm just like, okay, let's take all of this information and put it together and make something. And we did that. And we did that. Right? So I just have to say that first.
Okay.
We did that. And not only that, but I actually used that beta group and I did it. So it's so funny because I went from a therapist to a coach back to a therapist because I took the information from the coaching group and I was like, wow, my clients don't have this information laid out to
When
them, right?
when I
Like
tell yes,
they have me weekly, they have me, talking to them, but they didn't have anything just laid out the way that it was laid out. And so I'm just like, wait a minute, how am I gonna go all the way over, all the way across the country, and they don't have it here, right?
yes,
So I
yes.
was actually able to take the group, make it a coaching group, but then I went back to my therapy clients and I used the information that you all allowed me to use. So it is multiplying. It is doing all the things. So I just have to say thank you because I wouldn't have had that if it weren't for you.
What look, and I've said this to you so many times before, and I told myself, you can't be crying because your lashes are holding on by. When I tell you that I've done therapy, I've been through therapy in many forms, right? With many different, like with psychiatrist, psychology, therapist, counselor. And I had never had trauma broken down to me. Like you took us through those awareness.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was talking with my daughter about is that this would have saved me so many years of suffering
Mm-hmm.
because I would have had the information here already when I went in. So it wouldn't have been Greek, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that environment, it feels sterile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a much more relaxed environment to be able to absorb information. It wasn't about sitting in front of a therapist in that moment. It was somebody saying, "Hey, let me break this down for you so you get it," right? And so that's why I knew that's what gave me the tools that I needed to put everything else I had been getting into perspective. It helped me to put things in a way that I was able to really, really get this thing in my head and in my heart. Like this alignment here,
Yeah.
right? That awareness, in my opinion, and like I say all the time, I'm talking from personal experience of on this journey.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if people had this information before they went into therapy,
Mm-hmm.
it would have such an impact just for
Yeah.
me. I,
Yeah.
I know that happened for me.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And I tell people all the time, and I am going to get to what the coaching is and all of that stuff, but I just want to
Oh, I don't
say
mind this part.
that I did therapy for 7 years before I became trauma informed,
Okay.
right? And
Okay.
so I have a video about like I really wanted to get money from my job because my job had tuition reimbursement. And I'm like, I'm not leaving this job without y'all paying for something, some kind.
Right.
I want some education for free, right? And
Yes.
when I got this opportunity to go to this this to get certified in trauma recovery through one of the universities that's here in Long Island,
Mhm.
I jumped on it and they paid for it. And
Okay.
it changed my life. It changed my life because I I certainly knew about trauma personally, but as a
Yes.
therapist, I knew about abuse and hard times, and I knew about just adversities anecdotally. But sitting in this
Oh, thank
class,
you for putting that,
right?
giving me that language. Yes.
Right? Like you
Yes.
know, it's not that we don't know, but we don't know. Right? Like we know that
Okay.
oh that was hard. That was bad. Ooh, this person gives me the creeps or I don't like how I feel around this person or I get really like I'm just like I get out of my mind. Like we have these experiences, but sitting in that course for the year really helped to put things together. And I sat there and I'm like, wow. I'm thinking about all the clients that I had for those 7 years, and I'm like, oh my God, that was trauma. That was trauma. And I'm just sitting and I can put all the pieces together. And I felt kind of bad because I'm like, oh, all the people that had gone past, and I didn't know this language. And
Yes.
now I have the language, you know, and I have not stopped since. And I'm out here trying to ring the bell like Paul Revere. The trauma is there. The trauma is there, right?
When I tell you, and I know I've said this to you before so many times, is that I would go into these therapy sessions and I would be so like ready and empowered, like this is going to be it, right? And then you get there and you're pouring your heart out and you're talking to this person and you can see that they're overwhelmed in that moment. Like it doesn't look like it. I had one therapist tell me, wow, you've really been through a lot,
Right.
right? And when I heard that, that was like, oh wow, you know. And so I didn't know what was missing. I thought it was me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I just wasn't getting the message. And so when I got into your environment and you were giving us all these tools and information and just like breaking down with science, and my brain chews up information. I love, research and all of that. And so when you gave that, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to stay focused because I'm running back through all the times I got tools in therapy. And
Mm-hmm.
so, okay, so that's what that was. And then I'm like, well, why didn't they know that? Right. And I'm, as I've shared in the community here before, I had a nonprofit for 8 years where I have not only myself have been on a journey to healing, but through my son and helping him. And there are so many times that I knew that he would have been better off because if they knew what trauma was, if that therapist and that psychiatrist and psychologist had this understanding, so much, so many people can be helped.
Yeah.
Like we need to know we don't speak y'all language. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so when we're sitting in the room with you and you're talking to us, we just want the help. And so sometimes we're so activated, and I know that now. We're
Yeah.
so activated that our mind is like chewing up what we need to tell them and then waiting our turn. And then what I didn't get in my exchanges were the awareness, right, of what I was saying. It was like, okay, well, this is that and that and the other, and I'm like, well, I don't understand that, right? I don't think that's what's going on. That's it's not hitting me here. I'm not feeling that, right? And so a lot of people leave, and we don't go back. And so
Yeah.
I spent years on my own, just books, research,
Yeah.
and videos, and trying to help myself. Because I'm like, well, when they said, well, that's a whole lot, well, maybe they just can't help me, right? So let me help myself. And
Yeah.
so that's why after this experience, I told you you've changed and shifted my family for generations because you didn't just impact me. You impact the way I see my children, the way I engage with them, the way I
Mm-hmm.
engage with my grandchildren, the way I engage with my family. I've reconciled with 3 out of 8 of my siblings, or 4 out of 8 of my siblings. It's just so much, and I don't have enough time. I don't want to make this about me.
It's
But I'm just so excited to have you here,
yeah.
and to be able to potentially give this gift to other, families and people to
Yeah.
have the language. That's so important. It's when you just say, I wrote it down,
Yeah.
anecdotal. I'm like, that was it. That's it. Because we're in there with them and they're talking to us and we don't understand the language. We
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. So having the language and awareness helps.
Yeah.
Help.
Absolutely. And so I got that certification that was from 2010 to 2011. So
Okay.
that's still that's I mean that's it's been a while now, but that's still very recent, right? Like the even
Yeah.
the focus on trauma really came about from researching Vietnam vets and
Okay.
Holocaust survivors. So
Okay.
there are still Holocaust survivors who are alive now. So
Yeah.
we're not talking about something from a long, long time ago. This is all still very recent, right?
Yes. Yes.
I graduated with an entire master's and we did not talk about trauma at all. We talked about specific traumas, but the
Okay.
idea of this collective education around trauma didn't happen even at the top of the at the at, you know in 2000 in 2003 when I was in school, you
Okay.
know. So people do have to catch up, and I'm seeing it now more for sure. You know,
Okay.
I'm seeing more people who are trauma informed who are learning. I'm seeing all these different certifications and trainings that people can get, but they need to because somebody such as yourself who's sitting in front of a licensed professional, but they're sitting in front of somebody and things are going over that person's head.
And you're spending so much time trying to chew that up that you miss the information they're giving you. And then at some point, I just shut down. It was just like, I'm just going to shake my head.
Right.
No, yes. And then so I can get out of here. Right.
And it could also be the wrong information, or
It
if
was.
somebody's just telling, right, it's just it's not fitting. One of the biggest things that I learned, you know, I still heavily rely on talk therapy as the main mode of therapy here, but the body absolutely has to be a part of it. You have to know when you're activated. If you're
Oh,
not in your body, nothing matters. So
yes.
that's really what the coaching is about, right? Like, and it's a part of therapy also, but it's about those practical tools so that you know who you are, right? I want you to have a PhD in Lashonology, right?
That's what you gave me.
Right? Right? I want you to have your diploma, right? So that you know who you are, because if you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to do.
Right.
And that's what it's about. That's what the coaching is really about. It's about the practical tools. One, to even know what is trauma, to understand that you have been traumatized.
And what that
Please.
looks like for
And
you.
what that
Like,
looks like for you.
because you can take that information and you know yourself. So you taking the information of what it looks like, and you're like, when I tell you, oh my God, and you have so much more compassion for yourself
Mhm.
because there's the information there.
Yeah, right. And depending on what your trauma is, if you've been talked to so badly, you will inherit that voice, right?
Yes, yes,
So depending on what your trauma is, you may not have grace for yourself,
that part,
right?
that
You may
part.
not have a kind word for yourself.
Hmm.
You may not know how to do it even if you wanted to,
And
right?
you get all this information of positive affirmations, right? All this other stuff that you're supposed to be practicing, right?
Right.
And you're not addressing the original voice, right?
Issue, actual
And
issue.
it's
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with affirmations, right? I have a whole affirmation journal that I did and I love it, but it's if they don't fit, if it's not specific to you, to me
That
it just
part.
doesn't make any sense. I don't want to
Yeah.
sit in the mirror. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. Okay. But why is that important for me to know about myself?
That's what I was gonna
Right?
say.
What was the
That's what I,
journey to get there,
yes,
right? So I
yes.
do love them, but they have to me they just have to make sense and they have to be specific to the person and their story.
And I know now when I make my affirmations, now I have information,
Right.
right? I have my information. It's
Right.
not what somebody told me, it's my information. So I know these pieces fit together now.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff,
Yes.
Sean. Really, really.
Oh, priceless.
So we go from so again, I just want to be very clear. I am a licensed therapist in New York. And as of right now, I'm only licensed to practice therapy in New York, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so one of the things that I decided to do is I would like to take my skills on the road and do coaching. So we're not doing therapy, but we're doing coaching. So what I'm doing
Yes.
as a coach is I'm one explaining to first I'm listening to your story,
Yes.
right? You can't get in. Let's take it back a little bit. So we have these aces, right? So the very first, this is a we are a very exclusive group, right? Like
Yes.
so, you can't get into this club unless you have an ace score of four or more, right? So
Yes.
that's the first thing. This is a very exclusive club.
Oh, yes.
Right? So you had
Yeah.
to have been through some things, right? You had to have been through some things. This is not about
Yes.
slight life inconveniences. No, we're talking about trauma, right? So the very first thing is you have to come in with an ACE score of 4, and I'll explain what ACEs are. But that's the first thing. Just a list of 10 sort of categories of adversity. And you had to have experienced those things before the age of 18, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
everybody, including myself, I'm very open about that, right?
Yes. Yes.
I got aces,
Yeah.
right? So aces are adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
So you come in, so that's the very first thing because I don't want one I it's been shown that having an ACE score of 4 or more puts you at risk for different just adversities in life, whether they're mental health issues, physical issues,
Yes.
emotional difficulties, that you are at risk because there's a lot trauma adverse issues are about some of the negative things that you did get and some of the things that you needed that you didn't get,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so as a result of that, you're now sort of out in the world not knowing how to navigate certain things because maybe you didn't get that. If you had a parent that wasn't so kind or really they 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 were impatient with you, they didn't teach you certain things, we're
Right.
still going to grow up no matter what, right? We're still going to
Mhm.
grow, and whether we got the skills or not, we're still going to be adults in the world and expected to function,
That part.
right? Expected
Yes.
to function. But
Yes.
we don't always, after a while, nobody really cares about the backstory,
No.
right? No one's
There's
asking
no
about, hey, what
mercy.
happened
There's
to
no
you, right?
compassion. Get it together.
Yeah, get it together. They don't care. Like I never had it to get together, right? I didn't get it to get it together.
That part.
But
Yes.
after a while, people stop asking you those things and they just expect you to show up and do well and do a good job and be a great partner and worker and parent and all the things. Meanwhile, you're sitting there with a tank that's on empty because you
Yeah.
didn't get those things. So I first am listening to the story to just see where some of the gaps are. Then we talk about, okay, what is trauma? And then we go deeper than just the thing that happened. It's not just the thing that happened, it's how you have responded from a cellular level, right? In your
Yes.
nervous system, how you show up as a person, how you
Oh,
show up
yeah.
with people. And we go
Mm-hmm.
through all of those things. And then you're
You get a
given the
mirror.
tools.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And so then because we know that this is going to be a deep journey, we're
Yeah.
not going we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it until you know how to regulate, right? And so we start off with
Yes.
a lot of tools.
Yes. And I
A
was
lot of
so
tools.
grateful for that.
Yeah.
Woo! I used it today. I shared it. Yes. Yes.
And I don't think that people understand at first. They're like, well, I'm here to talk about my trauma. Why you got me breathing? I'm trying to work some stuff out. You got me tapping. Why am I tapping on myself? What's going on? What are we doing?
That part. Yes.
You're gonna want that stuff later on down the line, right?
Woo-wee.
Because
Yes.
you don't necessarily you don't realize, and again, as you go through this process and you start to learn yourself and understand how your trauma lies in your body, how it's activated, what's activated, who activates it,
Yes.
who activates it,
What it
right?
feels like.
What
You go
right?
inside and you start, oh, okay, so I know what I'm feeling, right? My anxiety, I know what that feels like. I know why and where it's coming from, right?
And
I
why
understand this now. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And so then you have the tools to help to regulate some of those things, right?
Yes,
Or to
yes.
be able to sit in a moment without checking out. That's the other
Ooh,
thing that we talk about. Do you dissociate? Are you in the room? Are you
are you
here?
here?
Because a lot of people, right? A lot of people are physically here, but they're out. They're not
No.
there.
Yes,
But
body
that's
here.
that right, but
Yeah,
that's also that's also a way to survive,
it
right?
is. It
Because
is.
through some more challenging moments, our brain decides, listen, I know you're here, but I don't want you here.
I don't want to be here.
So
Yeah.
we're checking out for a little while, right? And we're not
Yeah.
gonna remember these things, right? We're not
Mhm.
gonna remember these things. We're not even gonna take it in, right? Because
Yes.
that's how our brain works. But then later on down the line, we know that that's something that we can do. We start relying on checking out.
Hmm.
The bad thing about that is that if you check out as a coping strategy, the thing that caused you to check out is still there.
It is.
It still remains.
And it
You're not
stores.
you're not doing anything about it. You're not doing
Hmm.
anything with that. And even though you don't like it, it stays,
It
right?
does.
Because you're not addressing it because you've decided. And again, that is a coping strategy. That's a survival strategy. So we're not judging it.
No,
We're not
no,
judging it,
no,
but it's not the most useful. It helps in the moment. It's a short-term fix,
right.
but nothing else really changes.
Yeah, it's a crutch that you can depend on at
Yeah.
times. And you just, it's great to be able to identify when that's happening because you
Yeah.
can get yourself present.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
And teach yourself because we also talk about the brain and creating these new neural pathways, right? Creating these
Yes.
new things because your brain needs to know you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you always check out, your brain never knows that you can do it. And if you actually stay and you move through it, then you create that new message that I can do this. And
Man,
whether we really know it or not, surviving trauma is the hardest thing that you'll ever do. The recovery is tough, but you've already gone through extremely hard things,
that part.
right?
Yes. Because
You've
you,
already
yes,
done so much already.
yes.
So the recovery process it is a lot. It is a daunting task, but you have
Ooh.
gone through horrible things with a lot less resources because the trauma that I'm talking about is complex trauma, and complex trauma occurs in childhood. So there's acute trauma. So if you go out and something happens, you trip and fall, at a store, that is an acute trauma. That's a one-time thing usually, unless you're just like, what, you tripping all over the place, or you're a scammer and you're tripping. No, you're not.
And
So,
I
but like a
appreciated
one-time,
that distinction.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, where the type of trauma, I mean, not that I could not work with somebody who's dealing with acute trauma,
Hmm.
but we're talking about complex trauma. And
Yeah.
complex trauma occurs in childhood, and it is something that it is perpetual. So it is not a one-time thing. It is something that happens often, and it is too much, it is too soon, you are too young, and it
Yeah.
is typically at the hands of a trusted individual.
Yep.
So it's a relational breach, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I'm entrusted to you, I'm trusting you to help me, but then
Right.
there's that betrayal, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's also specific messaging that goes along with that, and that changes your worldview, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
this is a person that I trust and love,
Yes.
but they are hurting me.
Hmm.
So that is just like, what is that?
Exactly.
Right? So
Yes.
that's already just
Shapes
a
everything.
mind bleep. I can't think of another word right now, right? But like that's just like
It shapes everything.
it does.
Everything. It shapes everything. And I thought I knew that.
Yeah.
When I came out of that 6 week program, you don't it doesn't just apply to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this whole new awareness where when you go out in the world you have an engagement with the checker at the counter who's rude, and you
Yeah.
want to pop fly, right? You want to
Yeah.
go right back with it. Now let me match energy. You
Yeah.
start understanding, okay, I wonder if they had a bad day, the customers, and what they got going on in their personal life may be contributed in this. Let me be a ray of sunshine and not offer that same thing back, because
Yeah.
I was one, well, I'll match energy, quit.
Right.
And so now it's like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to be gentle with this engagement and then go on
Mm-hmm.
about my way. I'm not going to make it harder for them. Right.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, when you see your children, you see your mate. There's so much I'm going to be covering in the next coming months because there's just, it's a, it's a blessing to have that awareness
Yeah.
because it doesn't just apply to you and the things that would be activating me all the time, going out, just having engagements. I go out now and I'm not going to say I don't get activated and there are not moments where I'm having a moment,
Of
but
course.
there are times when I'm like, I walk away from that and I'm like, girl, look at you. I'm like, ooh. And it's
Yeah.
just, that there's just no amount of gratitude that I could give for that experience. My body is much. I used to walk around like a fist
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time,
All the tension.
and I'm now what that was August, September. So you figure October, November, December, January, February, and March. 6. I'm just now settling into my body that is not angry and disrupted all the time.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is I didn't know I never knew what that felt like.
Yeah.
And so to have that now,
Right.
it's people need this. They
Well, I
really
think
do.
that what happens is that when you're dealing with unhealed trauma, you're always in a state of overcorrection. You're always waiting. You're always waiting to do, you're waiting for the thing, you're waiting for somebody to, you know what I mean? Like you're just always waiting. And with this, you can I can be prepared when the time comes, if it comes. I don't have to be ready, right? I
I
don't
can
have to
just
be in a
exist.
fight.
I can just
I
exist.
can just be. I can just exist. Exactly. I can just be. And if I need to do, the other thing too is that when you do that work, you're more clear on what the actual threat is,
Yes.
right? Because trauma
Yes.
can make everything look like a threat.
Everybody is the threat.
Everything is a threat, and it's just like
Everybody.
that's not it's okay.
Everything. Yes.
Exactly. Because you don't want to be cut off guard, or you don't want to, you don't want somebody, you don't want to be vulnerable, right? But it's
Yes.
just like
Yes.
you have the ability to handle the thing when the time comes, if
Yes.
it comes. But for right now, everything is fine. This sunny day is just a sunny day. That
Just a
is
sunny
it.
day.
That is it.
The level of confidence that gives to you. I don't think I don't think there's the level of confidence. Like, yes, the confidence of being sure of yourself that you can do hard things. And
Yeah.
that's very simplistic because
Yeah.
it's way deeper than that. But that's
Yeah.
the language I got right now.
Hmm.
The that you can do this, right? So when I tell you it shaped my body image, it shaped there's just way too much. And every day, every month, every week is a new discovery because
Mm,
I'm open, right? So I can see those things about myself. Whereas I would have seen those things in the past as a judgment and it would close you up, right?
hmm.
Now it's information,
Right.
right? It's information. So now it's like, oh, okay. So course correction. Oh, okay. So, okay, compassion. Where did that come from? Right? Where did that come? Why did that hurt?
Right.
So instead of going in and reacting in my relationships, like, oh, I know what you meant by that.
Right.
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 Now
Isn't that something?
it is a blessing to just be in your relationships and not be looking for if the person is trying to hurt you.
Right.
You get to enjoy them.
Right.
You
Right.
really get to be present
Right. Yeah.
in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
When you have a relationship with yourself, when you learn how to trust yourself, you now know that if this person is trying to hurt me, I know what I need to
I know
do.
what I can do.
I know what I need to do. I don't have to
Yes,
just wait for it, because
yes.
if that is the case, I will be able to see it clearly
Hmm.
and I will know what to do.
And I'm going to be okay with the decision.
Right.
I'm going to have confidence that I'm going to make a decision that is both comfortable for me and protects me, but I don't also have to inject harm into this person as a means of saying, okay, well, you were going to do something to me, so I'm going to let you feel it. You can say this, I can dismiss this person and move on with my life, and I don't have to do it in a way that's harmful, right? It's just it's a gift that keep on giving.
Right. Because trauma will do it in the in right. Trauma will show up too. So I would
Yes.
rather the healing. Because
Yes.
trauma, and and that's the other thing, and I that's the part that's so important, and that's what I'm saying, that once you get to know you, you can
Mhm.
just be with you, and you can figure out, all right, this is me. This is
Yeah.
me showing up. This is not the trauma. This is not the trauma speaking for me, right?
Yes.
I can take these trauma glasses off, right? I can take these trauma headphones out my ear now so I can hear the birds and see the
Yes.
sun. As opposed to like looking like the trauma is just always everywhere, every sense, right?
Yes.
All of our senses, right? And
And
so now it's like I can
I
just
don't
be.
want to interrupt, but I don't know if you can remember that far back. But I was talking with you and telling you the way you taste changes,
Mm-hmm.
the way the texture of your food, the way you feel the air blowing on your skin. I mean, the way the colors are more vibrant. I
Yeah.
mean, everything changes. And I'm in the process now of doing research on that. I've been gathering research because
Wow.
I'm like I want to see something like this happen in the schools. I
Yeah.
want us to the home ed, we get home ed and we learn how to balance checkbooks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think babies and people need to have this at an early start.
Yeah.
There's no, it changes your whole being. It's just crazy. You just don't understand that.
I think it allows you to be. I think it allows you to just be your authentic self. You're feeling that win because you're taking the time to be present with
Yeah,
it. You're not
you're not
waiting. You're
occupied with
not
something.
so. You're what? Say that again.
You're not occupied with
Yeah.
something else because there's always my brain's chewing,
Yeah.
so I'm always like that was what my that's where I was. It's always, okay, if this happens then I have to be ready to do this and then oh my gosh, I don't feel good. It's just a lot happening.
Yeah.
Now there's information and that comes in and I'm ready to receive it, right? So that feels good. That's nice, right? You are and you connect with your body. I'm telling you, it's from the head. I know now that from the head down, I was
Mm-hmm.
always here. I was never here. I
Yeah.
was never here. I couldn't be here.
Yeah.
And it's so much that I want to talk about that I don't want to take the time from this thing, but it's so much I want to talk about in the way of how our body and our mind has to have that connection and how many of us are I know people got to be walking around because I
I,
was them.
I would love to be able to talk about that.
I
Let's
want
talk
to
about
talk
that,
about
because if
that.
that's what you're feeling, then the people who are here and the people that you're talking to, I'm sure they're feeling that. One thing I know, there are some days, just as a therapist, I'll go with the week. If I were to tally up the conversations that I'm having, let's say I see 30 people in a week. That's too many, but like just let's just say for a nice round number, right? I see
Okay.
30 people in a week. Out of the 30 people that I'm seeing in a week, I would say 15 conversations are the same conversations. We are so universally connected, right? We're
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
through the same things. We're
Yes.
experiencing the same things.
It's so
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that I do, just even as a trauma therapist, when if I'm talking to somebody and I notice myself go, like I take a breath, right? They're saying something to me and I take a breath.
Yes.
and I'm just listening, then I know, I'm like, well, shoot, if it's making me feel like this and I didn't go through it, that's my cue to then check in with the person that's talking to me
Yes.
and say, what's happening with you? Because I know what's happening with me, and I'm
Yeah.
just listening. So that is a time, that's that shared connection that we have, right? That's that
Yes.
connectedness that we have that
Yes.
we're able to use. So if there's anything that comes up for you that you want to talk about, let's talk about it. Because
Yeah.
if you're feeling it, I know it's going to be useful for someone else.
That's what I was saying. I wanted to be able, because when I had Hamaji, my main goal was always to find researchers and other mental health professionals that were not researchers, that we could all come together and sit down and talk about this thing, because everybody has their specialty. But what I learned in this, I knew it before, I just didn't have the language. What I learned in the education that you gave me in that 6 weeks is
Hmm.
that it's empowering,
Hmm.
right? We don't, a lot of us won't go into therapy because we've already given so much of us away, right? And it's uncomfortable. So we come into that environment, we're scared of you already, right?
Yeah.
And so we come there to share, and then you're not hearing us because we speak in two different languages,
Right.
right? So what that does, I'm gonna say for me, is I feel like I'm in the room with my abuser.
Hmm.
Okay, because I'm not, I said, hey, this hurts and that's not nice and I don't like the way that feels, and you didn't listen to me, right? And so now I'm back here with somebody who don't hear me,
Yeah.
right? So that brings up everything else, and I'm gonna keep replaying in my mind how many times I said to my parent this and that and the other, and
Right.
then they weren't listening, and so now I'm thinking of all the times that that was happening. So I don't hear nothing you saying to me, right?
Right.
And so when I get to the point where I understand how to be present and absorb, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what's happening in my body. I know where my thoughts are. And so I can get present in the moment and say, okay, so now that's information that I need that applies to me, right?
Right.
But it also empowers me to be able to come back and say to my therapist, wait a minute, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. Can we explore something else, right? Can
Right.
we, this is what I'm feeling. Let me tell you what I got going on over here. And with your information, now we're a partnership, right? Because
Right.
I know me. You don't know me yet.
Right.
So I know what's happening in my body, in my mind, and what's happening out there, right? Because this is different in here. So me being able to bring a what self-awareness with me to my
Hmm.
appointment, I know for a fact when you're giving me tools, if that resonates with me, right?
Right.
Because if you're giving me tools and I'm going home and I'm doing them, see, what that sends a signal to me is, well, it sent a signal to me when I was in therapy and this is what was happening.
Hmm.
That sent the signal to me that you must really be messed up because this ain't even working.
Right.
You understand? So now
Right.
my confidence level is even lower. I feel even worse
Right.
about myself. You understand? So it's just so much I want to be able to share from this side of me
Hmm.
versus where my beautiful self was on that side, but I couldn't be her yet. I couldn't be her yet.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I want you to share what you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay.
But I remember you don't have to talk about how you got to the breakthrough, but
Okay.
could you talk a little bit about the breakthrough that you just
Yes.
had with your own, just for yourself?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
I had been given the tools of what a caregiver, right? What the caregiver who is present and connected to their child looks like, right? Okay, so when I saw that immediately, I'm like, oh, I got to use the tools. I didn't just see my situation with my parents, right? I saw me with my children. And I'm like, all this time they were telling me you weren't there. And I'm like, but I was in a room with you. I was right there. I was
Right.
working. But when I came home, I was with you. We watched TV together. I cooked for you. I was there. And so I had a disconnect, right? I don't understand what they're telling me. That's not true. I was there, right? But in that moment, when I saw the difference between a baby who is engaged with the mama
Mhm.
and one that is the mom can't be engaged for whatever reason, I
Mhm.
thought about the times when I was depressed and overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And I was coming home from work and I would sit in my car and try to calm myself before I went into the house with my children because I had a very demanding job.
Yeah.
18, 16 and 18-hour work days in front of a computer and coding, right? And just a lot in a male dominated um, industry.
Mhm.
So I had been through a lot by the time I got home. And I thought I was doing a service to sit down and listen to the jazz and before I go in the house. So I go in the house, and now I'm going to meet four rambunctious children
Right.
who haven't seen me and they need my time and they're talking to me and I'm overwhelmed and now I got to find out what's in the kitchen and why is the house a mess and everything. So I'm in there and I'm giving responses. Oh baby, well that was nice. What did that, yeah, and I'm over here. I'm not here.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was able to see how I was there, but I wasn't
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
And that children haven't learned the art of suppressing things yet.
Mhm.
So they feel the energy, they know when you're not connected. Right?
Yeah.
And so all those years, I wasn't connected to my babies, right? And so when I went to talk with my children again, and as you know, I had lost my son that year, last year as well. That was a reality that he was telling me that. And I
Mhm.
kept telling him, I know what you're saying, and I'm telling you I'm sorry. And I thought I was there. I couldn't apologize to him because I didn't understand it on that level. And so the amount of awareness that a mother has, the amount of awareness that a mother has about herself. I'm trying to see how to put it into words. If I had had this awareness about myself during that time, I could have connected in with my babies
Mhm.
in a way that was way more meaningful. Um, I'm trying to use my tools as I'm talking.
Yeah.
We, as a society, and this is me intellectualizing because it's
Mhm.
where I'm most comfortable and safe. Um, as a society, we tell moms that you got to go into the workforce and you got to make a living for your children and you got to do all this. You got to show up. And then if you need to take off, maybe we got time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's no consideration for the amount of resources that it takes to cut yourself off and not think about your children while you're at work, and then
Mhm.
cut your work mind off and not think about work when you're home,
Mhm.
right? So those hours between when we're present with our family and when we're at work are very, very short,
Small.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we don't have the time to really take time for ourselves, right? And without the tools to be able um, to know what's going on in our body and have a place to put all this stuff so that it makes sense, we have to go in and out of those environments, right? and code switch continuously.
Okay.
When you come in with your with your baby and with your family, the pressures of all that you have to do in your home with your like obligations you have to do in your home are there.
Yeah.
What it's just my brain is moving so fast and I'm trying to break it down into a way that what I'm trying to say is there are so many systems in place. I'll
Yeah.
just go straight through. I'm not going to hold back. There are so many systems in place that tax our resources.
Yes.
We do not have what it takes to be in both places and then enough time within that timeline of getting home from your 9 to 5, right? And that's a regular. I'm not talking if you're working later overtime.
Mm-hmm.
In that 9 to 5, you have all this stuff that's happened all day. You don't have no time to decompress that and process that before you go into your home environment.
Absolutely.
There's a draw that's coming from you before you even reach the house that this is what's needed, right?
Yes.
So now I'm having to switch my brain off. All that compartmentalization of everything, right? I get smaller and smaller and smaller in there. There's no room for me. So
Right.
if I don't know what that looks like or what that feels like, right, in my body and in my mind, then I go into that situation, and the best thing I can do is go flatline because
Mm.
I don't want to bring the energy from my stress at work into my home.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I had built this whole thing in my house. I had suggestion box for my children to, it was very mechanical and where you say anecdotal,
Mm-hmm.
everything was mechanical. So
Yeah.
it was working. That's working. I don't see the children though.
Right. Right.
They don't without this information, they don't have needs on that level. Their needs are just cook for me, feed me, put a roof over my head, give me clothes, and smile at me and take me places. Right?
Mm-hmm.
With this information in that environment for me, I would have known, okay, so I'm overwhelmed. That meeting today did this and that and the other. Okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I know exactly what tool I need to pull so that I can help my body to have a moment, right? So instead of me rushing home and knowing I got to go upstairs or whatever, I can either take a moment and take a walk and just talk openly about my things that I got going on. I can call a girlfriend. I can, whatever, whoever, my mate, whatever. But I can have a moment to identify everything that's going on because I know what is required of me when I get home. And it's not about the dinner. It's not about the clothes and bathing the children and all that. My children need me. They haven't seen me all day, and every engagement I have with them, I'm building their identity for when they leave this house and they don't have to do what I didn't have to do. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, and with the information that I have now, had I been able to apply that in my parenting, I would have equipped my children to better handle the stressors in their day versus me activating everything else that came in by denying them what they needed from me because I thought it was something else, if that
Right.
makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
So I built something in them that they have to go out into the world because I didn't know, right? I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what I needed to give. So now they go out into the world with the same distortion that
Right.
I had, if that
Right.
makes sense.
It does.
Okay, and so now when they go out there, they don't have it either. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So it's just so much I want to talk about that as a factor here.
But
But
you,
just to get it as close to as simple as I can, this information would have made me a better mother. This
right.
information would have made me be able to connect with my children emotionally, right? I could have connected with them emotionally. My hugs would have felt different. My
Yeah.
I love yous would have felt different. My
Yeah.
kisses would have felt different. You see what I mean? Because I understand that it wasn't about, okay, let me just go on and give a hug right now because the baby crying, they need something. But I know I got to go cook dinner and then I need to work before I go to bed. And then I'm not being present.
But trauma also sets the agenda,
Yeah.
right? Trauma sets the agenda until you heal, right? Like if I just what you're saying, I just wanna remind you
Okay.
that this is not just LaShawn's personal failings or flaws, right?
No, no, no,
That
it's not.
you are literally describing intergenerational trauma,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you didn't get it. So we have to start there. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that your parent didn't get it, right?
I
Like,
didn't get it.
and
Their
if you
parent.
really think about it, we can, I don't know if you've ever done any type of work, ancestry work, but we because of the systems in place, we can only go but so far.
Yep.
We can only go but so far back,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so where was the opportunity for us collectively to ever have emotional intelligence, for us to ever collectively heal this,
That
right?
part.
So
Yes.
we were taught by flawed parents who were taught by flawed parents who were taught by flawed parents,
Mhm.
right? Who were just in survival,
And that's it.
right?
It's mechanical. Stuff have to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
And the trauma sets the agenda. I know for myself, I most of my young adulthood was about being able to do for myself. So I would, and that because of my own traumas, right? Like, so I'll be the one I'll work for. I've had four jobs at once. Not now, thank goodness, but I have had four jobs at one time
Yes.
because I need to make sure because of that trauma. I got to
Yes.
make sure I'm okay. I got to take care of myself. Nobody's going to do it for me. Nobody's going to help me. So
Yes.
I will work and work and work and work.
And that's
Right?
where I was. Yeah. I
Right.
worked three
Right.
jobs. Yeah.
Right.
Because I was
So
like,
that
we've been homeless. I don't want that. So
right.
that's the main thing.
Right.
That's
So
the main thing.
that's the trauma setting the agenda.
Yes.
Right. So I know you know that because I see the work that you're doing, but just in this moment, I just
Yes.
want to remind you, right, that there were things that you didn't have either. How could you give it?
That's what the program gave me, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I would be banging on my head. You bang yourself to death. But
Yeah.
that gave me, hey, this has been going on. And I knew that, but I didn't know that.
Right. Right.
I didn't understand. I knew that this practice had been going on for generations, but
Right.
I didn't understand that the lack of the awareness that they didn't have that was also a part of the recipe, right? So now understanding that now we have that awareness, now
Yeah.
I get to pass that on. I've been given that. I've been handing it out, girl, everywhere.
Yeah. I love that.
I get to hand it now to make more sense, help people make more sense in my family, right? And it's just the awareness,
The
man.
awareness. Big.
I used to always say if you can name it, then it's easier to look it up. And I said
Right.
that for years in Hamaji. If you can name it, you can go get the resource, right?
Right.
But I never understood how to ingest it in a way that it just overall everything understands.
Yeah.
And the way this program just it shifted everything and just start putting things into perspective in a way that it empowers me
Yeah.
because now I can see the thing and I can look inside and I can see how that resource impacts me and where it's needed, right? Because you can get the tool and
Hmm.
not know where to put it.
Right.
Just,
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely. Yes.
read it, and
Right.
the stuff I go back and read now that I had been doing research on then in my
Yeah.
little email, it's there. We are read before now. I was reading information and it made sense, but I didn't know where to apply it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know
I
how to put
think
it
the
into words.
missing piece, the difference between a trauma coaching group or even therapy versus a book is community.
Okay,
Is community. We heal in community.
okay,
And part of what we did was we were able to have a moment of community. And
Okay.
that was something that was so important to me, for us to be able to have that community, and for us to be able to, like, no, no, you're not going to just read this book and hide. No, you're going to say the things. You're going
Yes.
to say it out of your mouth,
Yes.
in front of your sisters.
Yes.
And we're going to hear it, and
Yeah.
we're going to love you anyway.
I just got another thing from what you said because we were all able to see other people going through.
That was by design, right?
Yes.
Because it's so easy to hide. It's so easy to read this book, tuck it away, have it on your Kindle or on your tablet, and nobody would ever know.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, no. You're going to say the words,
Yeah.
right? You're going
Yes.
to say the words. And part of what we did, and one of the things that and one of the things that I know, and what I was trying to figure out with this beta, the going forward, the program is always going to stay small, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
of the community, because I want you to be able to say the thing out loud. So I listened to your story, right? Everybody,
Yeah.
I listened to everybody's story. And so I had everybody do sort of your trauma impact story, and you had your raw story,
Yes.
and then you had your final story, which you actually shared. And in that raw story, I'm just like, no, no. You're still protecting people. You're still
Yes.
hiding. You're still not saying the thing, right? Like, we're
Yes.
not, this is one thing I want everybody to understand, that complex trauma is never a child's fault.
Yes.
Ever,
That was the message.
ever, 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 ever. I don't care who told you it was,
Yeah.
they are wrong. It is not true. So there is nothing that you couldn't, there's nothing that you shouldn't be able to say, because it's not yours. There were people that were protecting, and I'm listening to that raw story before you had to actually say it. And this wasn't to be mean, right? It's to
Yes.
say, no, we're breaking down these patterns. You're not going to be in this group and then still walk away with the same wonky patterns. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Say that thing about your parent. It's okay. It's your experience. You
Yeah.
are simply sharing your experience. You're not lying. It's the truth.
The truth.
It's the truth.
I wanted to say something about that because that when we talk about manifestations and spirituality, because that was a level for me in this as well. I was going through a spiritual transformation as well in this. Um, the writing and then going back with new information and then writing again.
Yes. Talk about that.
We gonna not be crying.
It's already too late. Look, I got tissues all over, but you're not here.
When I tell you I had wrote my story so many times because I was
Mhm,
trying to find it, right? I was trying to
mhm.
find the breakthrough. And you had given us all these tools and information. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And I wrote it. I wrote it. I wrote it. And I read and I read. And not knowing that we were going to get more information, right? And so we had that already. And then we go through more learning tools, more information.
Right.
And I haven't looked at it again, right?
Mhm.
Because I had my reason. I didn't want to get triggered or whatever. And
Yeah.
so I didn't go back to it. So then you hit us with, okay, now. And I'm like, okay. So I intentionally didn't go back to the first one, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I'm writing it now with the awareness and the
Right.
empowerment.
Right. Right.
And I rewrote it. And it took that ownership away from me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somehow the story is still true, but it changes.
Yes.
It's still the truth, but the
Yes.
story changes because we
Yes.
hold that story the way that we held it when when we were little kids, right? When the
Right.
thing happened, we're holding that story from the perspective of that 15-year-old or that 11-year-old or that 7-year-old. And it's such a limited story.
Hmm.
And when you're 7 years old and you're holding that story, it is quite, it is in your best interest to protect your parents.
Yes.
It is in your best interest
To protect
because
everybody
to
who had a
protect
role.
everybody
Hmm.
because you need them for your survival.
Yes.
So what you don't understand is now it's still the truth, but the story changes because you're telling it from a healed perspective or a healing perspective.
Well,
And I'm saying to you, you don't have to protect those people.
can I enter just one?
Absolutely. Of course. Of course.
Being able to go back and hold my 15-year-old self
Yeah.
and to understand based upon the information of what trauma does and what it looks like and how it forms our identity. I
Mm-hmm.
saw her differently,
Absolutely.
and so now I got to go back and really just hold her
Yes.
and help her to understand and let her know we're here
Yeah.
and this is where we are. And they people tell you you want to go and embrace your inner child,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't tell you that you need information for her or them, right? Because you can go back there and hug them all you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if, and I'm going to be very deliberate about this, but if you just as ignorant as you, not ignorant in a way like stupid, you know
I
what I
know.
mean?
Yeah.
You don't know
Not informed.
what was necessary, what she
Right.
needed at that time, and you go back there to hug her. You're not doing anything but the same thing you've been doing.
Right.
You understand? This
Right.
information gave me awareness and how to talk to her where she understood.
Yeah.
You understand? Me and her are one,
Mm-hmm.
finally, right? She's here.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her to be here, and I
Mm-hmm.
love on her all the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that before because I was so scared for her.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
want to wake her up. I didn't want to feel what she
Scared
felt.
of her. That's scared of
Yes.
her, right?
Scared of her.
Scared
Scared.
of her.
Yes. I did not
Yeah.
want to feel that. And I felt I was going back there feeling the same way. Right?
Yeah.
How can I help you? I can't.
Right.
I can't. And that feeling we have in that moment at that age, how do I help myself? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? And so going back to get her when I had this information and I had a new level of self love, a
Yeah.
new level of self acceptance, a new level of accountability for the things only I could be accountable for in the present. I
Yeah.
couldn't be accountable for anything back there because it wasn't my fault, you know. So when I go back to when I went back to get her and bring her home,
Yeah.
the level of freedom you get,
Yes.
it is unmatched.
Yes.
It is unmatched. The level you think you have self love, you heal your child, and
Mm-hmm.
that level of self love, it's infinite.
Yeah.
It's infinite. It just grows. It
Yeah.
just grows. I'm telling you, I scream your praises from the mountaintop. I tell everybody, I told my sisters, you guys got to go into that trauma coaching program. I've shared with everybody because it's not about, the next trendy thing. This is about liberation. This is about living. I had never lived at the level and the quality of life that I've lived at until I finally got it in my, this came into alignment, and I'm comfortable in this body.
It's beautiful.
This is you. So many more therapists need to embrace this education, educating your um, client and patient or whatever. They need, we need to be educated
Yeah.
because we don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
This information gives me everything I need when I'm in that environment to tell you if that's working for me, if that's landing,
Absolutely.
and so I just really, you people here, we have social media everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
there's people will tell you, oh, I took this, and I lost this amount of weight and that's and that and the other. Let me tell you something. The amount of weight I've lost.
Right?
And
You shed that, all
I'm
that,
not
right?
talking about mass.
Yeah.
You know, you just it has to be experienced because people don't, you're not gonna get it. You're not, because being activated and not having the the information and the words and the language and to be able to identify, you
Mm-hmm.
don't get it. You can't, because you can't stop thinking about what you're feeling right
Right.
now. Some, you understand what that feeling is now. You can, okay, I know that I'm okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is anxiety, this is my stomach, whatever is bothering me, I understand it now. And so when you engaging with the person that's going to help you, now you can understand and you can give feedback,
Right.
right? I can tell you, okay, so I need to stop right here, right?
Right.
We need
Right.
to go deeper because whatever you just said to me, my stomach did something or whatever. I,
Right.
I just, I feel something back here. I mean, there's something going on,
Right.
and I don't know what this is. So give
Right.
me a moment.
Right.
You know, it information is empowering.
It is.
It's empowering
It
because
is.
then I can identify what I need, and I just, I'm looking forward to seeing more awareness about trauma at this level. I
Mm-hmm.
keep looking online. I'm like, I
I see the things you post. I'm just like, I feel like I'm back in school. I see all the things. It's beautiful.
but
You
look,
have my guy Peter Levine. That's my boy.
look,
He
I
don't
keep
know it.
tapping the thing. I'm like, come on, Sherry, talk, tell him, tell him, come on, Sherry, tell him how we were looking at your page. What
Yeah.
can I repost?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you, I'm gonna give you an analogy, and I'm gonna quit talking and taking up all the time. Back in the day, I joined a coaching program for making money, and there was a
Okay.
coach that said, "I'm tired of having broke friends. I
Hmm.
want some friends who got money, so when I go out, I don't have to be the one doing all the spending, right?"
Hmm.
And I couldn't understand that I'm not rich. I don't know. And so when I shared this with my family, I said, I could, this is an analogy I'm using
Yeah.
because before I couldn't understand that, but on this level, on this side of it, I understand it. This is
Hmm.
priceless. This is priceless. It's no monetary value. But when you get to this level of healing, people may take it as arrogance
Hmm.
that you want everybody to know about it. You keep
Absolutely.
talking about it. You keep sharing. Look, go do it. Please go do it. I want you to feel it too. Right.
Right.
But
Right.
at the same time, I not only do I want you to feel it, I want to not have to do the labor
Hmm.
in our relationship, right?
Right.
Of doing my part.
Right.
I'm here, and now you don't want to do it, but you want
Right.
us to continue in this exchange. So now I
Right.
got to do the labor to for you. So when I talked to my family about it, I was like, I don't want no more broke friends.
You're right.
Not that way, but
I
you know what I mean?
understand. No, I
I said,
got it.
I
I
want to, come
understand.
on, y'all, get with this. You good. Look, I'll help you get to the
Right.
coaching program, right? I
Right.
want you to go over there and get it. Because me telling you, you know me. You're seeing they are seeing the manifestation of the work,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't understand that it can be theirs too,
Right.
right? Because you're
Right.
still activated and you,
Right.
so I
Yeah.
just wanted to share that I understand that now, that you want people to experience this. You want it, and when you share it so often people get tired of you talking, but it's because you want them, you know, the level. There's no money for this.
Yeah.
You understand? There's there's just nothing that I can compare it to. Of
And that's
I
what
don't
I
have that
want.
language yet. I don't have that
Yeah.
language yet. I just know that I if I'm here and there's still so much going forward, I just get excited now about
Yes.
what I'm gonna look like at 60 now.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to my granddaughters.
Yes. Yes. But
I'm
post-traumatic
giving it to my
growth.
granddaughters, and
Yes.
they're gonna have this
Yes.
early.
Yes. Yes. That post-traumatic growth, right? That
Yes,
post-traumatic
I
growth.
forgot about that poster. Let me
Yes.
write that down again because I just
Post-traumatic.
really forgot about that.
That's where we want to go, right? Like that's what this is
Yes,
about.
it's in my
And,
notes.
and I think that sometimes people are like, why do you do this? Like, don't you get tired of talking about all of this bad stuff? Or don't you get tired of hearing people's sad stories? And it's like, these are stories of hope. You got it wrong. This isn't about sad stories. I need to know
No,
where we're starting so that we know where to go. It's only about hope. It's only about hope.
liberation.
Absolutely. Liberation. I love that. Yes. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. If you're able to say like this, I can give this to my grandchildren. What? Instead of it being the trauma, I can give them the growth. They can
Yes,
start out ahead, so many steps ahead.
ahead. Can you imagine being 15 years old, getting this information? My oldest granddaughter, 15.
Mm.
Baby, she gonna be nothing to play with when she get 25.
Right.
Nothing to play with.
Right.
Imagine all the relationship trauma she's gonna miss.
That she's gonna miss. Right.
Imagine the mother she's gonna be.
Right.
I
Right.
just, if she
Boundaries.
chooses,
The
that
boundaries
was
that she
powerful.
sets.
That was
Absolutely.
powerful for me. If she chooses, and that
Right.
means something different to me now.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, girl. Is yeah. We need this in the schools. We do. We need this in the schools. And I don't know how,
Mm-hmm.
but we need this in the schools.
The conversations are happening, so that's beautiful. You know, I see. I mean, I've been a therapist. I've been in private practice since 2011, and there's such a difference between the clientele that I started out with and the people that I have now.
Okay.
There are days where it's just, I see nothing, mostly women. I still do get excited when I have men coming in because I feel like therapy has always been a space for women,
Okay.
or at least where they felt like not as much stigma,
Okay.
but not black women so much,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
now, like I look and I have my all black days, and I'm very delighted at that. I'm like, wow, that was nice.
Yes.
you know, um, I see where the stigma is becoming less and less. And I see people talking about I'm in therapy, or they're posting about things their therapist
Yeah.
said. And I'm like, that you didn't see that before. That's beautiful. This is all about hope and changing things and doing things differently. And hopefully we can have that collective healing. And if people can get to it younger and younger, that's
The
even
younger, the
better.
better.
I
Yes.
love the idea of your empowered granddaughter at 25 and 35 and 45, you know, and having those solid boundaries and being okay with that and not
Yes.
feeling like I said no, but I don't feel okay with no. I said no. I said what I said.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yes.
That's what this is about.
Yes.
That's what this is about because trauma, it absolutely can set the agenda. It can absolutely, you can live a life playing out these survival adaptations. And I want
Hmm.
you to be able to wipe all of that stuff away and be able to be your authentic self, right?
Yes.
Be able to be the person that you actually want to be,
And
not
they
just
can
who
get the
trauma
chance
has
to
made
see.
you have
Yes.
to be.
Yes. They get to see in their engagement. Because I changed my parenting that I received from my children, but now I have more information. So now my grandchildren got an improved version from
Hmm.
what my children had, but with this information, there's a whole different engagement between us.
Yeah.
Like me wagging my finger with my granddaughter, and you not listening to me, and
Yeah.
oh, it's different.
Yeah. That's
It's
so
different.
beautiful, Sean.
They don't
That's just
have
so
grandma
beautiful.
foaming at the mouth and you're not
Right.
listening. You know. Now grandma's like, really?
Yeah. Ah, I'm
Hmm.
interested. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. Well, tell
I'm
me
curious.
about that. You
Yeah.
know, this, and I'm there.
Ah,
I'm there. This,
what a gift.
yeah.
What a gift.
I'm hoping that, like you said, we're seeing this trend, and I'm just hoping that more information. I would like to see you educate. You need to do a program for therapists.
I would love to. No, I
Yeah,
would. I would. I would.
I would like to see that.
Yeah. I definitely
Absolutely.
I know here at the practice everybody here is trauma informed. And
Okay.
so because and everybody does their own thing. They're allowed to do whatever they do. So
Okay.
me and my colleague Jessica, we are probably considered the two trauma therapists here. So we actually went through the same program.
Okay.
We've actually done quite a few of the same things.
Okay.
Um, it's so funny. We went to the same school. She went a year before me, but I got my trauma certification before she did. And I just finished. I mean, I did EMDR. She just finished. So
Okay.
we are the trauma people here, but everybody at the baseline is all trauma informed, and they
Mhm.
know to bring certain things to me, and they know what I'm looking for.
Okay.
They know what I'm
Mhm.
looking for, and then if they feel like it's something that they're not able to work with, or they think that maybe a specific intervention would be good, they'll send them my way. But
Mhm.
they know to do that, and that's fine because they all have their own personal interests, and that's fine. But everybody here knows what to look for and how to be trauma informed and how to work with trauma because it's just so important.
The issue I'm having now with a new therapist is
Mm-hmm.
that, first of all, spirituality. I
Yeah.
remember me and you talked about that. That was part of
Yeah.
my healing in there as well. But my
Yes.
spirituality is important to me. But
Mm-hmm.
next is now I know when I ask you questions and the way you answer me, I know if you can help.
Right.
Right. I know, and I'm not going to be angry at you. I'm just going
Right.
to say I'm sorry, but I think this won't be a good match because I have specific needs, right?
Right.
And it doesn't sound like that's something that you are able to do at this time, so I have to move on, right?
Right.
And that's empowering because
Right.
now as I'm looking, and that's why I'm an advocate for telehealth and
Mm-hmm.
telepsychiatry or however that goes. I don't know what the
Yeah.
term is. We need that
Mm-hmm.
because I I found you on here.
Yeah.
I found you. I saw the way you were talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, where is she?
Yeah.
Right? To find out you
Yeah.
were in New York, I was heartbroken. So when
Yeah.
I saw this thing come up for the trauma coaching, I jumped
Mm-hmm.
right in. I was like, I hope she
Yeah.
choose me. I hope she choose me. But it's just that's the part that scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I really would like to see more um the level of education you gave to us, I know you can give that to on a because you're able to talk y'all language. Y'all understand each
Mm-hmm.
other. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
you help them help us,
Yeah.
Sherry. I'm serious. I suffered a long time
Yeah.
because people didn't know what to do. And I keep going telling the same story and they all got the same recipe and it's not helping. And each time you have people get further and further away from even wanting to go in there anymore.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
really
and so you got
unfortunate.
people out here suffering. And
Yeah.
we really, 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 and I'm begging, please help us. Girl, we need you. We need more of you. We need you to replicate.
Well, I will say
Should
this.
do some
I,
AI.
I will say this just as far as just like for people that are watching or will watch this. Are you going to be able to, will people be able to access this at a later time?
Yes, I'm gonna
Okay.
put it up on the YT channel
Okay.
because
Okay.
I won't be able to do the whole on here, but I'll do snippets and
Okay.
then I'll always make sure I'll send you the thing and let you look at it and make sure that
Okay.
you approve because I know how I don't want to be clipping it in the wrong space and then it doesn't
No,
give the
I'm sure.
information.
Listen, you're gonna be fine. You've already done this. You'll be fine. I trust
Okay.
you. You'll. It's gonna be fine. I
Okay.
wanted to give people a few tips on what they do need to do,
Okay.
as far
Okay.
as coaching. And there are some really great. So first, I just want to be very clear. Coaching is not therapy. So I just want to put that
No.
out there, right?
No, it's not.
Coaching
It's
is not therapy. Coaching is
no.
more about action steps. It's education, certainly psychoeducation. It's the tools. It's the doing stuff, right? It's
Yeah.
all of the doing stuff.
Okay.
And so there are some really great coaches. Coaching usually is a telehealth sort of a situation.
Okay.
So there is that. Um, but as far as therapy, if you're looking for somebody for therapy, you want somebody who is trauma informed. You want somebody who is trained on specific trauma therapies.
But see,
So,
that's the part right there. I don't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
this is what I
yeah,
have to insert. A lot of people are putting on their profiles that they are trauma informed.
mm-hmm,
And you get into the room with them, and I shouldn't have had to go this long,
yeah,
right? I understood trauma, I just didn't understand trauma,
yeah,
right? It wasn't for me to understand, right? It was
yes,
for my provider to understand,
yeah,
right? So that's why I was saying that I don't know what the recipe is because I'm not, in y'all,
mm-hmm,
world or whatever.
yeah,
But I just know that the, maybe the language needs to change for
okay,
what they put on their profile, right?
mm-hmm,
Because to tell people that you work with trauma and then I come in to see you and you give me the same tools for basic therapy,
yeah,
right? You causing me harm, not
yeah,
intentionally, probably, right? You mean well, you think
yeah,
you know, but from what you shared with us and the way you educated us in there,
yeah,
never,
yeah,
never. And I've seen psychiatrists, I've seen a psychologist. I've
yeah.
I've I've never seen that. I've never been given that information.
I don't think you're going to get that from a psychiatrist only because I feel like psychiatry is so limited now that
Okay.
the psychiatrist's hands are just tied, right? That you were tied to a specific code and a certain time, and that means that you're going to do these things, and that is it. Like, I feel like psychiatry has moved away from the education piece, and it's really about the medication.
Okay.
It just is, and don't get me wrong, there's a space for that and there's a need for that. But I
Okay.
just feel like insurance, the healthcare, I don't even want to get into that. The healthcare, but it's just, they're very limited in what they can do. And it's really come down to it's just about the medication. And that is really it for
Okay.
psychiatry
Yeah.
specifically.
Because we did a
Psychology,
lot with my son in psychiatry and psychology, and they
yeah,
never could help him. And we
yeah.
would go in as a family to support him so that he didn't feel alone until he felt comfortable with the
It's
person.
it's going to be dampened down to just to med management. That's really all that they
That's
have.
what it was.
That's what it, yeah, that's what that is. So that's that. I don't think you're going to get this. Don't even expect it in psychiatry. I do think that they should have an awareness and have the history, but they're really just going to go into the medication. And so I'm always, I just always want to just be very clear about that. Psychology, clinical psychology is a little bit different. There's like psychology, there's two different branches. There's the testing and the assessment side. You're probably not going to get a whole lot of that. And then there's the clinical side of psychology. They should be more trauma informed. But if you go in, if you can go in and get a consultation, or if you can just have time, anybody, I don't technically do consultations, but if anyone ever said, hey, I want to just talk to you to ask you a couple questions to see if we would be a good fit, I'm always going to do that. And
Okay.
if you have an opportunity
Thank
to
you.
do that,
Yeah.
right, if you have the opportunity to do that, then you can ask people about their specific interventions.
Right.
And that's where you know the mask comes off, and you can't just, I'm trauma informed because I sat and I took a 1 day program.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you that I sat in a certification for a whole year. it
Yes.
wasn't just it wasn't just YouTube videos. That I don't even know if there was YouTube when I did it, but that's a whole other story. I think there was YouTube, but anyway. But anyway,
This
right?
information gave me more power
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
what to ask.
Right, exactly. And so and even within trauma, there are still, I've done trauma informed trauma conscious yoga, right?
Hmm.
So trauma conscious yoga is something that I do here. We had to shut that down on a larger scale because of COVID, but just as far as here in this room, we have that.
Okay.
There's somatic therapies. Peter Levine and that gang. Peter Levine, Pat Ogden is another one in the somatic space. Just some of the go-to gurus. But EMDR is one of the interventions that I also am trained in, and so that's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I know that's a mouthful, but it's basically being able to, and that's so I specifically learned EMDR for the people that don't want to sit and talk a whole lot or don't want to hear a whole lot. Like, okay, fine, you do all the talking, right? Like, and it's sort of like this free association type of thing that you do. And the way that I describe it is like, you ever go to sleep with something on your mind and then you wake up and you have it resolved. Part of the reason why that happens is because of something called REM sleep, right? And so REM sleep, your brain, you get into, we never stop thinking, even when we're asleep, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when you're asleep, and especially when you can get into REM sleep, that's when you can get into reprocessing things, solving things, uh, just being able to take your day and just figuring out some things. And so somehow, Francine Shapiro, she was able to figure out that by doing eye movements with a person doing eye movements, that person is able to sort of reprocess certain things through this bilateral stimulation that mimics REM sleep, because that's one of the
Okay.
things that's happening when you're in REM sleep. Your eyes are darting back and forth, right?
Okay.
You're sleeping, you can't see that. So this kind of recreates this REM sleep, and you're able to reprocess hard things. So and it's just like it's just what our brain does. Our brain, we are born survivors, right?
Yes.
We are born to survive. That is the survival part of our brain is the only thing that is fully online when we're born.
Okay.
Everything else we get, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? We get all of that stuff. And our brain is not even fully developed until we're 25.
Right.
For girls, 23. If you have some neurodivergence, maybe 28. So anywhere from 23 to 28.
Thank you for mentioning neurodivergence.
Absolutely. That's me. That's me. Right? So
Hmm.
with neurodivergence, then it could be a little bit longer. And so We're born to survive. Our brains are born to survive. And so this process just happens
Right.
because of the mechanisms in our brain and the ability to heal itself and the neuroplasticity, all of those things, right?
Yes.
So we get to create, and that's why it's so important to learn new things because our brain will believe
Yes.
anything you tell it. So if you tell yourself long enough that you ain't nothing and you'll never be anything, your brain's gonna be like, "Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
You are right." And
Hmm.
if you tell yourself I am healed and I am whole, your brain will say eventually, "Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely."
Yeah.
Right?
It gets into that, and each time
Yeah.
it's like it's better than AI actually, because each time you just increase your level of awareness and your confidence, which gives you calm, and so
Yes.
you can able to get more and more and more information, more and more information. It's amazing. It's amazing. You don't know how much you are being restrained by
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
It's a bridle.
Yeah. Yeah, but we can work through that. That
Yes.
is absolutely possible.
Yes.
That hope.
So
That
when do
hope we
you
share.
think that you'll be doing another
Trauma group?
yeah.
I want to do I would like to do one. And so we're getting into I would like to do one again. We did it in August.
Yes.
We did ours in August. I would like to have something in the spring. And it's going to be so the beta was 6. This is going to be 8.
Okay.
It's going to be 8 weeks. Um so I would love to have something for the spring. I really would. Um
Ooh, 8 weeks. I'm jealous.
it's not, you know what? It's not so just so you're not jealous. It's not going to be any new information. It won't be new information.
No, I'm thinking
It's just
about the
that
level of time that you have to really have gotten that in. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
That additional time,
yeah.
there's more awareness. Like you have more room for your brain to be open
Mhm.
in that period because I kept getting, I mean, this thing kept feeding me for months and months. More stuff was bubbling up, more stuff was coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not going to be more information. You have all the information, I promise you. It's
Okay.
just there were just some things that I may have wanted to sort of just let
Of
marinate
course.
for a little longer,
Right,
right?
right, right, right.
Some of the some of the I think that we did I don't think there was like one assessment that we didn't really get into that we're just able to get into. It was one on our oh gosh, our needs. I can't remember the whole thing, but it
Okay.
was a little it was just a we weren't
I'll
I
go back
just
and look
didn't
at my notes.
yeah, yeah. There was just one assessment that I was like, I really would have wanted to get a little bit more into that.
Okay.
Um, Even attachment styles, we do attachment style. We go into that a little bit more in the
Okay.
8 weeks. So
Okay.
it's not more information. It's just spread out a little bit more. So I promise you, you got like, I literally opened up my brain, but that's what it was. That's what this was for, was to try to
Yes.
figure this out.
Yes.
So it did what it did. What did the kid? It gave what it was supposed to
It
give,
gave
right?
what it was supposed to give. It gave what it was supposed to be giving. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. So yeah, so it'll be 8 weeks and I'm thinking May, but I'll have to see because I think that once I actually get the group, we'll figure out because I know it's going to be time for people to go away and
Yeah.
so but
Vacation.
I'm flexible and if we have to take a break or if we have to take a week off or something like that, we'll do that. So it's really just trying to navigate that. But yeah, it's I just, you're always so wonderful to me and so gracious, but like I said, I would not have been able to do that because I would have been sitting here with my ADHD brain, putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get to it. Something else would have happened. You know, you ladies gave me the structure and the time and and it didn't have to just come from my brain.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
talking to everybody and listening to all your stories. It was just like, okay, so I'm tailoring this to this group, to
Yes.
this group of people. And so I'm good. I am not changing. I mean, of course, as I get new information, I'll expand it, but
Right.
this
Right.
is
Right.
it. This is it. This is what
Yes.
we did is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's a lot of people can get free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people can get free. I'm hoping that you put more information up on your page.
Yeah.
So I can-
To take it. Yeah. I actually have somebody coming to work with me in May to help me with
Okay.
social media stuff. So
Yes.
that I think that is going to happen. So some of the
Okay.
things, and yeah, we'll see if I mean I'll have to go back to Instagram if TikTok shuts down, but that's fine.
Well, don't give up on YouTube. I mean,
Yes.
why? Yeah, the
Yeah, right,
other.
right, right,
The
right.
other.
Okay. Let's quit while we're ahead.
Yes. Well, I don't want to keep you. I know you put carved out some time for us today, and
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you, and I'm grateful for
Same.
what you've done for our family.
Yeah. Aw.
And I send you lots of love all the time and encouragement to keep on this healing pattern for people and empowering people. You are giving something that is going to, like they say, give a man a fish or give a woman a fish and you'll feed her for a day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you teach her to fish, you'll feed her for a lifetime. I
Yeah.
know it's such a, cliche, but I don't know if you fully understand how it changed my business.
Hmm.
It changed both of my businesses. Like I had to go back in and really reorganize my priorities with our family business and the reason that we're doing this. And this information changes people's lives.
Wow.
It's a whole overhaul because when you're in trauma, you are making decisions based upon limitations,
On those
right?
traumas.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I I pray that the divine blesses you with longevity so that you can continue on this path. And I want to see you in a position to train other clinicians and because in our community this is very, I mean, this is needed across the world.
Yeah.
But when I look at the limitations that we have in the small group of people we have access to, they have this information. They're able to impact us on a global level and to shift whole families, whole
Yeah.
culture, whole communities. You aren't This isn't light work, Sherry.
Yeah.
This isn't light work. Thank you. I mean
Absolutely.
that from the bottom of my heart. I thank you for taking this time today to share this too. I really do. And I'm going to be tugging at you again in the future
That's
to see if
fine.
we
I'm
can
here.
get.
Yeah. I love it. It's all we have the same goal, right?
Yes,
Like we have the same
yes.
goal. So absolutely, anytime you find if you think that I would be useful for your community, please, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And I will let you, well, you already know. I'll let you know when I'm doing the next cohort. And
And I'll be amplifying. I think
yeah.
I might stand outside by the freeway.
Well, and I have to come up with some new stuff too. So we're not going to just keep doing this same thing. Oh, well, we are going to do that, but we're going to add to it as well, right? Like, so there'll be more things.
Make more of you, and they can do
Yeah,
it, and they can do it, and they can do it, and it's just, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. I knew this would be a great conversation, so we got to do it again.
Yes, we will. We will. All right, lady. Much love.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye bye.